the injuries suffered by people in car and truck accidents tend to be more serious than those in car accidents. And I'm sure you can understand why, because you're dealing with a much larger vehicle with a lot more mass that can cause a lot more damage.
When you have a big truck against a smaller vehicle, usually the person in the smaller vehicle is injured more seriously. Also, the insurance, there's usually 1 or 2 layers of insurance due to the fact that it's a cab, which is the truck itself, especially if it's like an 18-wheeler, and then the truck itself might have a different insurance. The first thing you should do after a truck accident is call the police. After you call the police, if you're not feeling well, then you should go to the doctor, either the hospital, emergency room, or your private physician. You should also take photos of the accident site, damage to your vehicle and damage to the truck, and the location of the truck and the location of your vehicle.
If you've been involved in an accident with a truck, you're entitled to collect damages for your pain and suffering, which is the effect that your injuries have had on your life and your ability to do the things that you used to do. We can also collect for any medical expenses that you've had and that you might have in the future. And we can also collect for any lost earnings you suffered in the past and also potentially in the future as well.
The damage you can recover in a truck accident claim depends on the insurance policy of the vehicle, whether there's one policy or 2 policies. And then depending on what your damages are, put those 2 together, then that depends on how much you can collect. You can sue for a truck accident, you sue the driver and you sue the owner of the vehicle. Now sometimes those are different because there's the cab, which is the main part, the front part of the truck, and then whatever they're hauling, that's also might be owned by a separate entity. So you could sue both of those entities.
Company that driver was working for can also be sued. So if you've been involved in an accident with a truck, call us so we can figure out who those parties are and make sure that you're making your claim against the right parties.
The most common causes for a truck accident in New York are the speeding truck drivers. A lot of times they have to get from one place to the other in a certain amount of time, or they're driving, so they're in a rush. Also, driver fatigue, where drivers are driving, they have to go from long distances and they just want to get there, so they fall asleep at the wheel or they're just not paying attention as much. There are laws against fatigue, but they're not enforced that strictly. The Orla firm investigates trucks accidents a few ways. First, we try and get the video for either the car, our client, or the truck. A lot of trucks these days have videos in their cabs. Also, we send out investigators to investigate the car that we were in and the road to see if there's any markings that can help us with the case.
It's really important to do a good investigation of a truck accident case, because I know that the insurance company will be sending out their investigators as soon as possible to do their investigations, and they're only trying to do whatever they can to show that their driver was not at fault. So it's important to gather as much information as possible, as early a stage as possible. Witness information, documentary evidence such as any forms that are filled out about or statements about what happened, photographs or video evidence about what happened. These are all things that it's important to gather early on, as soon as possible, so that later on we have the ability to prove that the defendant was at fault for the accident. People who get involved in accidents with trucks tend to have very serious injuries because of the nature of trucks being so large. We've had wrongful death cases against truck companies for truck accidents. So there's all types of different claims that can be made against trucking companies for truck accidents. So if you've been involved in an accident with a truck, call us so we can represent you and protect your rights. At the Ola firm, we've represented many people who've been involved in accidents with trucks. We've handled many of those types of cases, and we know the issues involved that are unique to trucks and truck accident cases.
A memorable truck accident case that we have is where our client was driving with a passenger. He was actually doing a favor for somebody to take this person somewhere, and he was driving at a reduced speed due to the fact of the weather, and a truck that was speeding hit him straight from the rear without slowing down. It caused our client to swerve into a ditch, and the car was in the accordion. Our client had no memory of the accident, so after calling us, we started our investigation. We contacted the passenger. The passenger was actually on the phone with her boyfriend at the time, so we contacted him because the truck insurance tried to say that our client's lights weren't on, and he was going basically stopped on the highway. So after contacting the passenger and the passenger's boyfriend, we were able to prove that what the truck driver said and what the truck insurance company said was not correct.
I had a client once who was actually on a bus, and that bus was involved in a very bad accident with a truck. And the truck, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, but that truck was on the New York State Thruway, and it was late at night, and the truck decided to make an illegal U-turn in an area where there was a break in the divider between in the highway, and he decided to make a U-turn there where you really were not allowed to make a U-turn there, and he did not see the bus traveling behind him. And as a result, there was a terrible collision between the bus and the truck, and my client was a passenger on the bus, and I represented that client who had very bad injuries, and I was able to get her the compensation she deserved. So if you've been involved in an accident with a truck, call us. It costs you nothing. Find out what your rights are, and we'd love to be able to protect your rights and get you the compensation that you deserve.
Hi, my name is Brian Orlow. Call me today for a free consultation.